KOIKIMEDIA, we're bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
KOIKIMEDIA, 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 we bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
KOIKIMEDIA, 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 we bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
Àwọn sálára àgbà yìí dá, àwa ló láṣà àti èdè. Gbígbédè lárugẹ nílẹ̀ Oòduà o, àwa gangan ni bàbá.
KOIKIMEDIA, 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 we bringing the world closer to your doorstep.
They never sabi wetin we carry for her.
But they move closer before they go sabi.
I said they never know wetin we carry for body.
But they move closer before they go sabi.
Ọ̀kín lọ lọ́jà ẹyẹ, kìnìún ló ló lajú.
Ẹyẹ tó dorí kodò bí àdán ọgbẹ́jẹ lẹ́nu.
Ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ilẹ̀ bàbá wa, ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ìlú bàbá wa, ká jùmọ̀ sowọ́pọ̀ ká lè tó dúdú àga.
Odùduwà kò bá lè gbé wá.
Ọmọ Odùduwà ṣe gírí, ẹ dìde fún ẹ̀tọ́ adúláwọ̀, ká lè jọ jùmọ̀ gbé délẹ̀ ìlérí, káwa lè gba ògo ilẹ̀ wa, ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká lè jọ gbàdé, ká lè gbàdé adé adúláwọ̀, àwa ni mọ̀lẹ̀ tí yóò tàn káàkiri.
Pé ọmọ Odùduwà ni wá.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ.
Ètò tó pọ̀jù owó tiwa mọ́ ni.
Kásá ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà wá kájé bùgbà yín jẹ.
Ètò tó pọ̀jù owó tiwa mọ́ ni.
À ń gbé tó lárugẹ, à ń gbàsà lárugẹ.
Ètò tó pọ̀jù owó tiwa mọ́ ni.
News and sports ẹ máa rí gbọ́.
Ètò tó pọ̀jù owó tiwa mọ́ ni.
Ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ mi ló ní kí n máa ké tantan. KOIKIMEDIA, ọ̀rọ̀ lágbájúmọ̀ mi o, máa bá ṣẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ o. Ọmọ Yorùbá nìyẹn, ọmọ Yorùbá tata o. À ń gbádùn rẹ, ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ mi, ṣẹ́yìn ló máa fi dìbò tẹ̀ mọ́lẹ̀ o. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa ń dé máa dé, ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa wọ̀ o. Igbó máa wọ̀ kájòjì ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọ̀, àjòjì tó bá wọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ á tẹ̀lé ní ẹbọra. Ẹ̀yin lọ máa náwó kóyìnbó tó dé, ìgbà tó yìnbó dé o, owó náà dẹ́ tún pọ̀ sí o. KOIKIMEDIA, ṣàwa ni bàbá. KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àdáńtọ́ àtúnpèrègèdè.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ, jẹ́ ká jọ gbọ́ o.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àtúnjà fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ wa, fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Ọmọ Oòduà ni wá o, tọkàntọkàn.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Ikú tí ó ṣe bí lébi òsì, àdìmú bàbá iyọ̀.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
We bring you work closer to your doorstep.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Afẹ́fẹ́ tó ń fẹ́ òòdùn kan kí oko lára ni.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àpèrègèdè Olódùmarè ló fún wa ṣe.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Gbogbo ayé ẹ gbọ́, àwa ni bàbá o.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Ẹ máa bọ̀ wá ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà yín wá o.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Odùduwà lágbédá ní, òtítọ́ lágbédá ní.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
A kì í sọ̀dálẹ̀, a kì í sóníkèéta.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
Àdúró tán, a tún pèrègèdè.
KOIKIMEDIA, àwọn ni bàbá.
come closer to your doorstep. KOIKIMEDIA is around
To give us latest.
Is around
To give us latest.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹ tẹ́tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó kojú gbogbo.
ladies and gentlemen,
Ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹ tẹ́tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó kojú gbogbo.
KOIKIMEDIA is around.
Gbogbo ẹ̀yin ọmọ ọ̀dọ́ tá a jọ ń káàkiri ọ̀dọ́jọ́ ni wá. Ẹ má jẹ́ kí a fi àyè gba Fúlàní lórí ilẹ̀ àwọn bàbá wa. Ẹ má jẹ́ ká bú ọba mọ́, ẹ má jẹ́ ká bú jòyè mọ́. Nígbà tá a la fẹ́ jà fún àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ wa, táwa ń kọ́kọ́ ń bú ọba, tá à ń bú jòyè. Èmi náà ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ rí, bọ́ mo pera mi padà. Ẹ má jẹ́ ká bú àgbààgbà kankan mọ́, ẹ má bú olóṣèlú kankan. Ẹ̀rù kálukú ń bẹ̀rù wọn ò lè sọ̀rọ̀, ọba ò lè sọ, ìjòyè lè sọ. Ẹ jẹ́ ká ronú, ẹ má jẹ́ ká bá àwọn bàbá wa jà mọ́, ẹ má jẹ́ á bú wọn mọ́, ẹ má jẹ́ á ṣe wọ́n ra wọn pẹ̀lú wọn. Àwọn àgbà tó bá jó olóṣèlú, tá a bá fẹ́ kọ́ wọn rìn wá lọ́wọ́, á gbé wọn mọ́ra, á gbé wọn mọ́ra ni, à ní bú wọn mọ́. Ẹ má jẹ́ á ṣèjẹ̀gbọ́n, ẹ má jẹ́ á dàlúrú. A lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì ṣèjẹ̀gbọ́n, a lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì yìnbọn, a lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì dàlúrú. Gbogbo protest mo ṣe ní ìlú Nàìjíríà, mi ò rí ibi tí mo ti ẹnìkan lè sọ pé mo pààyàn tàbí mo jó nǹkan náà tàbí mo bà nǹkan jẹ́. Mo lọ písù torí pé olówó lèmi náà tí ò bá sólówó lára ń dì mọ́. Gbogbo nǹkan tọ́lọ́run fún yẹn lọ́lọ́run fún mi. Mi ṣe tálákà tó dé pé mo dìde fún ìjà Yorùbá. Big man ni mí, àwọn tó jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi tó súnmọ́ mi tó ní owó ní kí ni mo wá lọ bẹ̀. Pé sọ́wọ́ ni mò ń fẹ́ ni kí n sọ yìí tí mo fẹ́, mo ní ìsọ̀rọ̀ owó. Àní ọ̀rọ̀ ìran mi ni mò ń sọ. Kí n wọ gbowó, kí n gbéra, kí n pé mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ ọba àgbowó, mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ oníbodè òfin gbowó, kí n kójó wọlé kọ́kàn mi balẹ̀, kí n dá wa mọ́tò kí n mọ́ rìn bọ̀, kí Fúlàní mọ́ da mi dúró ń títì, kí n délé kí bàbá sọ pé kí n gbé tírélà sùn kí n mọ́ gbé lọ. Àwọn bàbá wo lè lóko mọ́, wọn ò lè lóńdò. Ẹ jẹ́ ká fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ ká ti àwọn bàbá wa lẹ́yìn, ká dá security ti wá lẹ̀, ká sọ fún wọn kí wọ́n bá wa fọwọ́ tì í, ká lé wọn kó nu oko wa. Ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́, Jésù Olúwa wa.
Well, a very good morning and welcome to this live transmission. My name is OLAYOMI Koiki and I say good morning. And from wherever you've joined us, I say good morning and welcome once again. It is the 20th day of the month of March. What a very beautiful month, the month of Ramadan. We'd like to appreciate all our Muslim brothers and sisters from wherever you are. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin Mùsùlùmí tí a wà nínú oṣù Ramadan, oṣù alálùbáríkà. Mo kí wa pé a kú bí a ṣe ń tì oṣù náà. Ẹni tó ń jẹ ọ̀sán ojúfẹ́ tó tì í nítorí pé ẹ̀yin tẹ́ ń jẹ ọ̀sán yẹn àwa tá ń gbàwẹ̀ lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ nígbà tá a bá máa fi gbà tán ẹ rí pé ara wa máa yá dáadáa. Mo kí gbogbo àwọn oníṣẹ̀ṣe mo ní àbọ̀rú àbọ̀yè. Mo kí wa pé àtúkàbọ̀ sórí ètò ti àárọ̀ yìí. Aago 4:30 ló lù lọ́dọ̀ tiwa ní London tí a máa pè ní United Kingdom níbi tí mo ti ń gbé transmission yìí wá. Mo kí gbogbo ará ilé pé ṣe àlàáfíà ní àtújọbára wa. Ẹ jẹ́ ká jọ jókòó fún ìwọ̀nba díẹ̀ tá a bá tún ní náà láti fi ṣe àpèjúwe ọ̀rọ̀ tó pọ̀ fúnra wa láti fi dára wa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́, láti fi sọ àwọn ìdí kókó, ìdí pàtàkì tí ọmọlúàbí ọmọ Yorùbá kò gbọdọ̀ ní kankan ṣe pẹ̀lú Nàìjíríà. Èyí tí a ti fẹ́ bára wa sọ lé lórí ní àárọ̀ yìí, gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ ti ṣe mọ̀ ní orí ètò tiwa, ètò tí a fi ń ṣe education tó pọ̀ ni. A dẹ̀ wá dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn bàbá wa náà tí wọ́n ń fi ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ohun tí a lè máa fi dára wa lẹ́kọ̀ọ́ nípa ìdí kókó. Ẹlòmíì tá bá ní ìjọ tẹ̀ mọ ìdí tí a ṣe fẹ́ kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà, ó ṣeé ṣe kọ́ nítorí ebi ń pa wá nìkan àti torí pé àwọn Fúlàní darandaran tí wọ́n pera wọn ní Boko Haram nìkan ni a ṣe fẹ́ kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà. Èmi á máa sọ pé kò ń ṣe torí Fúlàní o la ṣe fẹ́ kúrò nínú Nàìjíríà, torí pé Nàìjíríà fúnra rẹ̀ ó jẹ́ kó ti collapse pẹ́, àmọ́ fún ìdí kan àbí ìdí kejì wọ́n ò tí ì jẹ́ kó collapse. Àsìkò ti wá tó pé kí olúkálukú kó padà sílé. Ìyẹn ò mú jà wá, ìyẹn ò mú pé àní bára wa ṣe, nítorí pé kí ni a sì máa bára wa ṣe náà ni, àmọ́ jí àjọṣepọ̀ wa àti Nàìjíríà níbi tó dé lénìí ó ti mẹ́hẹ, kò tẹ̀síwájú, kò lọ sókè, ojú kan ló wà. Ìyẹn la ṣe wá ń sọ fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá pé kí ló dé tí ìwọ náà ń fì sẹ́yìn tó fi darapọ̀ mọ́ ìyẹn ìrìn àjò tí ó ń bẹ nílẹ̀ yìí. Tí a bá kúkú jọ darapọ̀ mọ́, á jẹ́ kó yá. Kí ni nǹkan tá à ń jà fún gangan? Bọ́ bá tẹ̀ bí ẹ pé kí ni nǹkan tá à ń jà fún, àti pé ṣáwa nìkan ni à ń ja irú ìjà yẹn, kò ń ṣọmọ Yorùbá nìkan o. Ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ ìlú ní àgbáyé náà ni ó ń jà fún irú nǹkan táwa náà ń béèrè fún. And tó bá dẹ̀ sọ pé self-determination as we know, ẹ má bínú fún voice yẹn torí àṣẹdìde náà ni, kí ọba Elédùmarè kó máa túbọ̀ fún wa ṣe bí gbogbo ìgbà tí a bá ti ń jáde pé a fẹ́ wá bára wa sọ̀rọ̀. Mo kí ẹ̀yin ìyá wa o, mo kí ẹgbẹ́ YSDM tí a máa jẹ́ kí olúkálukú wa mọ ìdí pàtàkì tí a gbọ́dọ̀ máa lọ fi owó sínú YSDM. The YSDM stand for the Yoruba Self-Determination Movement. Tó bá tẹ̀ bí ẹ pé ìjẹ́ o mọ reason tá a ṣe fẹ́ kúrò àti pé ṣáwa nìkan ni, bí àkọ́kọ́ gbọ́ lè mú bọ̀.
Other countries were refused at first, but we have to remember, and this is a really important point, that self-determination is an inalienable international right and a law as well. And other countries will recognise Scotland's democratic choice expressed at the ballot box. They will recognise that because that is the route that many other countries have taken in order to become independent. And just to make that point, that international law is very pragmatic on that point, so we should have confidence in that.
Ìtògbọ́n yẹn ó ṣeé ṣe pé nítorí èdè òyìnbó nígbà míì tó bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ tó ń fimú sọ̀rọ̀, but n tó ń sọ kí n kàn fi sáré ṣe àpèjúwe ni pé self-determination tí à ń pè fún, self-determination tí à ń sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí. Mo kẹ́yìn tẹ́ wà lórí Twitter tí ẹ ti darapọ̀ mọ́ wa. Thank you so much for those of you that have joined us. I have about 23 people that have joined. Thank you so much for those of you on the Facebook. I will not start mentioning names because we have a lot to talk about. But I appreciate those of you that are joining us live at this particular hour. Self-determination has never been a crime, and I can quickly prove that because what we're going to be looking at this morning has to do with what Babakitoye wrote, that I will be doing some analysis on it. Two documents were sent to me last week, but because of my busy and I've been off the air for some time, we've not been able to cover a lot. But don't worry, we are still on the right track. I do not say when I'm coming live, so just make sure you have your notification bell on. We always ask for donation. Somebody sent me 3,000 yesterday. If many people are doing that, it will go a long way. That 3,000 was straight away sent to one of my team to buy data. So when we ask you to support us, you might not know the importance of why we are saying that. It is only that many people watch our videos, but you do not want to dip your hands in your pocket to support this platform. It is important that platform like these needs to be supported. Mo kí ẹ̀yin tí ẹ ń ṣe kò ní sú yín, kò ní rẹ̀ yín. Ẹ̀yin tó kù díẹ̀ káàtó tẹ́ ẹ̀ tí ì bá wa ṣe, please, we beg you to always dip your hand. Ẹni tó fún wa ní 3,000, you might not know as at the time how important that money was, but I can tell you that that money came at the right time that I needed it, because not all the time that we have naira. So when I receive money like that, it's like I've received £1 million. So ẹni tó send 3,000 lánàá, all I can say is that you are playing your part, I am playing my part. Kò sẹ́ni kankan tó bẹ̀ mí níṣẹ́ tí mò ń ṣe, and I don't have the right to do it. But ẹ̀tọ́ mi ni nígbà tí mo ti gbọ́, ẹ máa wonder pé kí ni mo gbé sọ́rùn, award tọ́fẹ́ mi náà ni. I am still happy that it came all the way from Nigeria. Thank you so much, Bishop Adesina. So in case you are wondering what is on my neck, it is my own award. So when we say support us, even if it be a one pound, leba fún wa every week, even if it's a £1, leba fún wa lórí show kan, even if it's a $1, €1, and if you want to send money from US, you are finding out it's going to be difficult, reach out to us. We can send you a Zelle number that you can use to send it. Don't hesitate to support platform like ours. I keep saying it. This platform, until Taba Debitanlo, it does not, I pray it doesn't take long anymore, but that is subject to how and when we are ready to exit Nigeria. But what I can say is that this platform is dedicated on a full mission, Monday to Sunday, 365 days. We will not talk about any other thing apart from self-determination. But I am losing a lot of money for that. But it is not about the money. I am also writing my own history. Just as many people are now talking about other people's history. And I'll be telling you that our Nekokola for self-determination. These are the Welsh people. And each time I go on their website, it makes me a joy that it is not just the Yoruba people that are asking for self-determination. Even those Scotland, Wales, and many countries around the world today are doing the same thing. So please do not think that our Yoruba nìkan là ń fẹ́ dá dúró. So let me tell you, as at yesterday, the Welsh people are complaining that they are losing a lot of money just because they are part of United Kingdom or England. So what you can see now, it says, half of all the voters in England want to end the union. And I hope you can all read it in front of you. Mo kí gbogbo ẹ̀yin tẹ́ darapọ̀ mọ́ lórí Instagram àti lórí Twitter space and the Facebook. It is your responsibility to share the program, just as it's my own responsibility to do the presentation. By sharing this program, it allows many people to have detailed insight on why the Yoruba people should now allow Nigeria to go so that we can flourish. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí Elédùmarè ṣe dá wa. And we've always flourished, and I'm going to prove that again based on one video I watched yesterday that I did a short presentation on. I will touch on that later on as well. Interface sọ̀rọ̀ lé lórí gangan as well has got to do with these documents. Ẹ rí pé inú email mi ni mo ti mú jáde. I believe we've already sent it to our website, but I couldn't find it there. I'm going to ask my team what has gone wrong while it's not there anymore. Please and please, don't wait till when we keep coming out to say support us. Let's make it a mandatory to support platforms like ours so that we can be able to do documentaries. We can be able to send people to different places. But without funding, these are proving very difficult. Without funding, BBC will not be able to do what they are doing. So, in Tienrinuajumi, it is what they called Nigeria needs now the courage to dissolve peacefully. This is the part 1, and it also has the part 2, and I'll be telling you everything we need to know about those 2 documents that Babakitoye sent to me. Once again, I say good evening, good morning, good afternoon. From wherever you're watching me, we will be doing this presentation in the next few minutes, and I hope that we will all learn a lot this morning, depending on your time zone. But let's go back to the Wales. you can see that people in Wales, which is just about less than 5 million, are getting tired, are getting frustrated, living together in this union called United Kingdom. Half of all the voters in England wants to end the union. According to the new poll that reveals that 49% people have now support England becoming an independent nation, with majority of the Tory and the Labour voters in the south of the border backing up the breakup of the union. So let me quickly give us the background first to that. So when we say United Kingdom, United Kingdom, as we know, is made up of England, Scotland, Wales, and the Northern Ireland. When we talk about United Kingdom, it is made up of 4 different countries, or what we can call 4 different regions. Just as we have the same during the regional government until that regional government was pulled down, destroyed, and today we've gone back to square one. So when we talk about the dissolution of Nigeria, I can tell you that UK is practicing parliamentary system. That means each of these regions, England has its own parliamentary system known as the Parliament. Every time you hear Westminster Parliament, I've been there a few times, and many of you have seen my pictures from there. It is just the one that always on the corner where Mandela picture is as well. So when we look at this image, this is the Parliament for England. This particular building, this particular one, Tony Big Ben. Okay, so this picture that you're looking at, we've done a lot of events there, we've done a lot of rallies, and I can go on and on, but because of the time this morning, 4:37 a.m. My name is OLAYOMI Koiki, and as we continue to give you the reason why Nigeria needs now to collapse, because there's just too much problems, and those problems will never be resolved until the dissolution of Nigeria. So, going back to United Kingdom, you should be asking yourself as a Yoruba man, a Biafra or Igbo, Hausa, Ijaw, why are we all in one entity known as Nigeria when the whole population of UK is 67 million? Yet they have different parliament that decide the future of their citizens. And yet their future is now also being asked whether they should remain in one union. If 49% of people living in England, where I am currently residing as well, are now saying that it will be in the interest of this union, which was put together at some point as well. The government that is practiced here in UK is known as the parliamentary system. Also, they do not have a written constitution. Many of you today continue to talk about Nigeria, even though the constitution is not in our favor. I am now seeing many of our politicians talking about the same thing that we have been talking about. Everybody knows that the constitution is a fraud, and there is so many evidence to back that. But the problem we are having is that because many people are still benefiting from what is known as Nigeria, which was created under a fraudulent amalgamation. So the United Kingdom, or what you can call Great Britain and the Northern Ireland, commonly known as the United Kingdom. Most of you are calling it UK, Mufilosi UK. And please do not let anybody deceive you. People have been coming here in the past for a good reason. But this time around, everybody that leaves Nigeria as in the 90s literally ran away from Nigeria, just like my mom. So if anybody tells you that, I left Nigeria because I was doing very well. No, you left Nigeria because it's either you saw the foresight that Nigeria was not going to be favorable to you and you left the UK. But Toban sọ pé UK, ọmọ Yorùbá gan ọmọ tó ń pè ní UK, ó kọ̀ rò pé UK is one entity. And I'll give you a background quickly about the UK. Once again, a very good morning. If you're looking for how to support us, it's very, very easy. Look on your screen. The donation portal is there. Click on that and let us support this particular media. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, commonly known as the United Kingdom or Britain, is a country in the northwestern Europe off the northwest coast of the continental mainland. It comprises England, where KOIKIMEDIA is. It comprises Scotland, where Mayegun, many of you know Mayegun General, is. It comprises Wales, where some of our brothers and sisters live. And it comprises Northern Ireland, where also many of you know one or two people that live there. It includes the island of Great Britain, the northeast part of the island of Ireland, and most of the smaller island with the British Isle. Northern Ireland shares a border with the Republic of Ireland. Otherwise, the United Kingdom is surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, the North Sea, the English Channel, the Celtic Sea, and the Irish Sea. The total area of the United Kingdom is 94,354 square miles. That's about 244,376 kilometers, with an estimated population of just over 67 million people as of 2021. The United Kingdom was evolved. What is the meaning of evolve? Let's quickly look at that before we go further, because that is where we will be looking at how Nigeria has also come to be.
Evolve.
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 Echo Victor Oscar Lima Victor Echo.
Evolve.
Develop gradually. The company has evolved into a major chemical manufacturer. I might not have to if I was running my own media that would do whatever I want to do without anybody questioning me. But because what we are doing is very, very sensitive, we have decided to raise money through the public. But it seems the public care less. Maybe some of you, but majority of you are watching our videos and you are not contributing. I don't want to mention names. Tó bá jẹ́ pé à ń gbé àwọn tí orí ń dùn, ọkàn ń dùn wọ́n, ìgbáyà ń dùn wọ́n, ẹ máa dáwó síbẹ̀, and I will do what I have to do with that money. But now what tó ń ṣe wọ̀ ṣe dáadáa. So many of you that are doing all this support in those platforms, that is not going to solve our problems. What can solve our problem now is to allow Nigeria to officially collapse. Breakup is not a war. We don't have to run a political party in Nigeria because none of those political parties will work. It does not matter how brilliant your ideas are as a Yoruba man. Those ideas will be killed off, just like Kemi Adeosun tried her best when she was the Minister of Finance, until the cabal make sure that for single reason of NYSC certificate, they took her out, and we saw the end of what happened during Buhari's regime. Maybe if Kemi Adeosun was there, maybe she would have been able to stabilize the economy. Osibajo was part of the government for 8 years, a brilliant Yoruba man. We saw the end of Osibajo because the government that Osibajo was a failure for 8 years. Osibajo would have been better off in a Yoruba country to run those country for us because of his brilliance. So if any one of you thinks that we are joking, just sit back until we are fighting hard to make sure that Nigeria will collapse. So let's go back again to evolve. What is the meaning of the word evolved? To come forth gradually. So the United Kingdom that we are seeing today also evolved from a series of annexation, union, and separations of constituent countries over several hundred years. They also had what they call the Treaty of the Union. The Treaty of the Union is the name usually now given to treaty, which led to the creation of the new state of Great Britain, providing that the Kingdom of England and the Kingdom of Scotland were to be united into one kingdom. They were able to do theirs fruitfully, but they were doing our own, known as the fraudulent amalgamation, under a false pretense. And that takes us to this video. I am not the copyright owner, but it is of the interest that I completed the 2 hours watching of this program. I will not play the 2 hours, only few out of the minute, and I'll expect everybody to go and find time and watch the rest of the video. And kudos to the presenter and also the guest known as Babawa Oloye Lekan Alabi. Let's listen to what he said regarding how the formation of the country called Nigeria through a man called Lugard and his girlfriend Laura Shaw.
High Clinical Commissioner fún orílẹ̀-èdè tuntun tó fẹ́ dálẹ̀ orúkọ ọkùnrin yẹn jẹ́ Lord Frederick Lord Lugard. Àwọn kan ń pè ní sáà ó kú oríire níbi tó wà. Tòmí kò qualify fún sáà yẹn nítorí wọ́n ló ní skán lórí. Then gbogbo ibi tó ti ṣe wọ́n máa ń lé jáde ni. Then àwọn obìnrin tí wọ́n tẹ̀lé torí kò níyàwó tí wọ́n tẹ̀lé wọ́n á jù lọ.
Flora Shaw nǹkan ìyàwó ẹ̀ ni.
Ìyàwó ọ̀rẹ́ ni girlfriend ni láti délé London Times girlfriend ni. So ó wá lọ ṣe manager fún ẹbí bọ̀dá rẹ̀ ní India nígbà tó ń lé kúrò ní British Army. He was cashiered out. Tọ́mọ̀lẹ̀ ni wọ́n cashier yàn out of military. Ẹ̀yin ò ṣe ìdí ẹ̀ kò ṣe yẹ̀wò wọn ní ṣe pull out fún wọn ní ṣe báyìí fún. Ó wá lọ di manager company tí bọ̀dá ẹ̀ tíyàwó bọ̀dá rẹ̀ Indian ni company yẹn wà. From ibẹ̀ náà tí wọ́n transfer wá sí Calabar. Wọ́n pe company yẹn ní Royal Niger Company tó ń jẹ́ United Africa UAC lẹ́nìí. So high commissioner náà pè. But àwọn tí wọ́n wà ní ibi tó ń pè ní.
Look at this. Look at that. This is the new
West kìíní kan olórúkọ tó ń pè yẹn gbà yẹn àtàwọn tó wà ní East wọ́n ń pawó wọ́n dẹ̀ ń fi èrè ránṣẹ́ sí London ju North lọ.
East, West.
West, East, North.
Okay.
Àwọn manager bẹ̀ wọ́n ń fowó ránṣẹ́ sí èrè pọ̀ ń bí wọ́n ń rí èrè ń bí pamọ́ kókó ti North ojú cotton. So ó wá kọ lẹ́tà sí wọn ní Colonial Office ní London ní Mr. Lugard pé ẹ jọ̀ọ́ provinces Western Province, Eastern Province, Northern Province tán bá lè sọ di orílẹ̀-èdè kan kóun jẹ́ high commissioner fún or governor general owó máa mú èrè wá gan.
So before kí wọ́n tó pè ní Nigeria and Eastern Province orúkọ wọn náà ń jẹ́ as Eastern Province. Eastern Province of.
Kò sí of kankan.
It's just Eastern Province.
Area àkọ́kọ́ náà ni àwọn èèyàn ń ṣòwò níṣẹ́ Eastern Province, Western Province, Northern Province èrè làwọn ń ṣe Royal Niger Company.
And at that time no Ghana no ti di Ghana.
Gold Coast.
Gold Coast. Táwọn bá jẹ́ Gold Coast kí làwọn ń jẹ́ ń gbà yẹn.
Àlẹ́ ti di country. Gold Coast di onáṣẹ́gba independence ṣáájú wa 1957 agbàtiwa 19 October 1960. So òun ló kọ lẹ́tà burúkú yẹn ilẹ̀ Gẹ̀ẹ́sì dẹ̀ ní èrè làwọn ṣe kiri commercial interest ní Benin gbogbo àwọn aláwọ̀ funfun yẹn tí orílẹ̀-èdè kan bá tan rẹ̀ jẹ́ pé Russia is backing us irọ́ ni o.
Kí ni interest wọn ìyẹn ni.
èrè commercial profits tán lè mú lára yín your mineral resources your independence. So náà wá ní okay kí wọ́n draft òfin tó máa sọ province 1, 2, 3 di kan kọ́dẹ̀ wá orúkọ fún orúkọ yẹn ní Lugard ń wá níbi tó ń gbé ní Lọ́kọ́já orúkọ wọn ni kò wọ́n á pe ibi tó ń kọ mẹ́mọ̀ pé kàn jẹ́ kó òun jọ̀gá ẹ̀ fún yìí ó ní girlfriend ẹ̀ yẹn ṣe wá láti London wá bá sọlídé Elizabeth Shaw. So bí ọjọ́ mẹ́ta tí ẹ wà lọ́dọ̀ ẹ̀ yẹn wá pè ní ọkọ̀ pé wá I left England to come here with the malaria infested mosquito infested area wá kọ́ máa kọ lẹ́tà wá kọ́ what are you writing wá confess pé jọ òun ti kọ mẹ́mò pé kán so àwọn provinces pọ̀ kó ń jẹ́jẹ́ first governor general orúkọ ló máa ń wà ìyẹn náà wá ló sọ pé láti ìjọ tí mo ti dé tí wọ́n orúkọ ṣebí Niger River rèé ṣe àwọn pé confluence Lọ́kọ́jà ni wọ́n gbé to the left River Benue to the right and we are in the confluence. Call them the people of Niger area. Wọ́n ní bí lùgá ṣe fò sókè ní ẹ̀pẹ́ tí mo ti ń wá látọ̀ Nàìjíríà ló ṣe wá conclude ló wá sẹ́ndẹ̀ sí London ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n ní mission yẹn ó gbọ́ Latin wọ́n ní undertone nǹkan tó ní kán pè wá yẹn ni people nige kí náà pè Negros àti Nàìjíríà àti Negro ó kọ bú ni so àlè ẹnìkan ló sọ Nàìjíríà ló kọ òun náà fún wa pé wọ́n pè àwọn aṣáájú Yorùbá tán Èkó wọ́n pè Calabar wọ́n pè Kano àwọn ni wọ́n ní kán wá lọ wá wòran so January 1, 1914 ni wọ́n tọ́ ba amalgamation so that means prior January 1, 1914 there was nothing called Nigeria. We were different tribes yẹn ni Sir Ahmadu Bello ló ṣe di hero mi number 1 of all the nationalists. Why? Because Fulani ni Ahmadu Bello náà òun nìkan ló wà realistic tó ń sọ fún àwọn tó kù pé we are not the same. Let us first of all identify our differences. But Benjamin Azikiwe nítorí ambition tó ní ó fẹ́ ṣe president in Nigeria and before you could become a president president of lórí ibi tó lọ kàwé United States of Africa òun náà fẹ́ ṣe United States of America USA ló ti kàwé àbí òun náà wá fẹ́ kán dá United States of Africa sílẹ̀ tó máa jẹ́ the first president ó lè eré àjìyà tí ń sákì kó tó kú jẹ́ Benjamin ó lóun ò jẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́ ó ní orúkọ nínú Bible àti slavery.
Well, that is how far I can play from that video. I'll expect you to go and find that video. I'll share the link later and you can watch the rest of that video. Let's come back to UK. UK had a treaty, but there was also a Kingdom of Scotland. The Kingdom of Scotland was a sovereign state in the northwest Europe, traditionally said to have been founded in 1843. It is a territory expanded and shrank, but it came to occupy the northern third of island of Great Britain, sharing the land border to the south with the kingdom. Today, many of us would love to go and study there, especially if you're into oil, geology, and all those things. It's a good place because they have good amount of crude oil as well. But how did this union came together? Was this union a forceful union as well? Even whatever the outcome of that union, today, 49%, according to the statistics, are now asking that they should also dissolve the United Kingdom. When we say the same thing in Nigeria, many Nigerians are asking us, why should we dissolve Nigeria? And let's look at the comments to see whether those that are writing comment under the X on this post. This one say, this is a veritable lie. The next person, John Y, say, if it is a union of equals, they need to ask Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland if it is okay to hold referendum. Personally, I tell them not to bother and just do it. And I want us to take note of that. These are English people saying how it is meant to be, that if the union is equal, if it is a union of equal, the question is Nigeria a union of equal? Are we equal in terms of the federal system of government today, where in the north, as long as you have 10%, you can get into a university. But if you're Yoruba, you're expected to have 75%. If you're from the southeast, you're expected to have 75%, and it goes on like that. Who is scared? Let's look at the people from the Scotland as well. EU referendum of 2016. Did Westminster ask EU for permission? This is something I want us to hold on to, because when we decide nígbà tá bá ready to leave Nigeria, we would not need to ask any permission from anybody. We will take our decision, but that decision must be ready with about 60,000 fully armed Yoruba men to protect our borders. When that happens, then we are ready to go. Anything less than that, we can just continue our campaign. If otherwise, 4 million Yoruba people on the street will shut down everything, and nobody will allow anybody to go to work, nobody will go anywhere, and that is when we are taking back our country. Is either we have 60,000 military men, or we have 5 million Yoruba people, not these 200,000 that come out for rally, not this 1,000 that we say we know. We need 5 million people coming out and say we've had enough. But for now, those people are not coming out because they are still part of what is keeping Nigeria. This one says, and I quote, "Ǹjẹ́ àwọn UK béèrè lọ́wọ́ EU or to take a decision to leave?" So when some of you are saying that the Biafra should stay in Nigeria, the question is the union variable working for them? We don't have to wait for the North. We don't have to wait for anybody, but it seems that Yoruba people are still thinking, even though it has been proven again and again that the Nigeria that you think of was set up as a Royal Niger company, as stated by Babawa, that we just watched the video, and I'll be sharing the link later. That is how far I can play from that. It's a long video, but I was able to complete it yesterday. Very interesting to watch. The future is no longer in Nigeria, and we hope that if Tinubu thinks about it very well, he should dissolve Nigeria. It can be done, but does he have the will and the capacity to do so? He doesn't need a second time to dissolve Nigeria. He can literally dissolve Nigeria today, and there will be peace. The North cannot hold the Yoruba people back, neither can the Igbo hold us back, and vice versa. But what they are playing is politics of Eba and Amala. So I'm going to move swiftly, because at exactly 5 o'clock in UK, I will start the presentation of what Baba Akintoye said. Nigeria needs now the courage to dissolve peacefully. Part 1 and part 2. But before we go into that, again, let's look at why the Scottish people, the Welsh people are saying again. Let's look at this one. It says, and I quote, both in their language and likewise, and you will see that sometimes when I do my posting, I tried as much as possible to add Yoruba and sometimes Igbo with the translation using the Google translation, and sometimes the Yoruba might not be perfect, but at least it indicates. So again, only those who are truly accountable to the people of Wales can be trusted to govern in our best interest. This is a very good quote. If you read this quote very well, I was looking at Rufai on the Twitter yesterday with the total amount of money that have been shared on the Federal Executive every month of February. What is our governor been doing with the money given to them since 1999 to develop what is known as the southwest part of Nigeria? Many of them took advantage of those money, built their own empire, become so powerful, and left millions of our people in abject poverty. So this young man says, and I quote, and these are people campaigning. We are not the only one campaigning. And you could look at there, they say support. When I click on the support means put your money to join them. Join the media revolution. The Canary is a radical media outlet. Did you hear that word? Radical media outlet, owned and run by his workers. We are proudly working class led and produce upfront journalists that amplifies marginalized communities. The reason why KOIKIMEDIA is using its platform rather than going to work is to look into why the Yoruba people are being marginalized, or we are also marginalizing people, because since Tinubu came there, he has also do the same thing Buhari is doing. So that shows that there would never be a true union among this country that is called Nigeria. 5 o'clock in the morning, 20th of March 2024. Happy Ramadan to those of you And those of us that are not in the Islamic, I say, what God cannot do does not exist. It is not just about coming to watch me. We need you to dip your hand in your pocket and support this media. That is what we need now. But we appreciate you when you join us. Owó ló fi ń ṣe media, kò ń ṣe ẹnu. And I'll continue to say that. By becoming a supporter today, you will be joining thousands of like-minded people in spreading powerful message of resistance and hope, which is what we are doing. I got a call from someone yesterday in America. I'm not going to go into all the details. It is when they now have a problem, they're coming to us. People are watching me, and especially when I say, if you have immigration problem, you can reach out to me. I don't live in America, but a call came from America through a brother from Nigeria. The brother, I don't know, something has gone wrong, but they need help from us now. Ẹ má dúró nígbà tẹ́ bá need the help kẹ́ tó wá bá wa pé fi darapọ̀ mọ́ Yorùbá Nation. Now they need evidence and all that. I'm sure you all know what. I don't want to go into all the details. So if you're one of those that are still sitting back, but if your brother or your sister run into any problem in Europe and you're coming to talk to me, I'm going to ask you questions. Because Yorùbá Nation. Now, if you are in danger and you want to use Yorùbá Nation as part of your own legal whatever, it will be very difficult for us to help you. And I'm not joking now. It's not about Mr. Koiki social media. No, it's about, are you part of the movement? Because anytime I saw it, he's a Yoruba man. But like I said, I won't go into too much of the case because it's a private one. We depend on everything we do. Together with your support, we can continue distributing powerful and amplifying people. This is what I keep saying all the time. But many of you think that I am just always making it up. You can see from a platform fighting for the independence of the Welsh people. And you can see the website. It says, Welsh pro-independent movement. Yes, Schumer has just made a big announcement. What is the announcement? A creative native of Night who is brimming with energy has been elected as the chair of the Welsh pro-independent campaign, just as we now have a very strong person in charge of the YSDF. We now have, after Babayiloge left, the new man that is there, the deputy to Professor Banji Akintoye, is now doing a lot of reform. Go there. Click on the donate button, www.ysdm.org. Your $1 is not going to stop you from sending money to your loved one in Nigeria. Your €1 is not going to stop you from sending money to your loved ones in Nigeria. Your 1,000 naira is not going to stop anything. We are not saying go and donate 1,000 pounds, $1,000, €1,000, 100,000 naira. Gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá tó bá ń gbọ́ mi ní wákàtí ní ojoojúmọ́. It is your responsibility to go in that website and put your €1 there. If otherwise, we will continue to do what we need to do. But please don't ask me, when are we getting this nation? YSDM, as we all know, is the movement for the Yoruba people. And it's clearly stated Yoruba self-determination movement. Awani Kokolanje movement. You can see from this website that I've just shown you that they call themselves as well a movement. And they already have also elected this man that is going to take charge of the Welsh pro-independent movement. So you can now say that do you know that people in Welsh are still 300 times better than you as a Yoruba man in Nigeria, but yet they want to lead a union that was put together in 1707. So let's go into that quickly before I start talking about the reason why we're here this morning. The United Kingdom has evolved. The United Kingdom has evolved from a series of annexations, unions, and separations, Emabino, I will not be mentioning names, but I can see many of you on the thread. I just say good morning. Please share the program. This is the program you should be sharing. This is the program that you should be telling people about, because this is the reason why many people will understand why we are asking for a total exit from Nigeria. Let me drop my camera a little bit because it's blocking the view. If you're asking Koiki, how do we support you? All the details are right on the screen, scrolling on the top there. musakalam1@yahoo.com is my email. There's a UK bank account. There's a Zelle. If you want, you have to reach out to me. You can do the support at the Kofi. We also have a GoFundMe. We have a first bank account, which indicates with my name, which is OLAYOMI Koiki, and the account details is just scrolling, which I'll be telling you in just about a few minutes as the scroll button get closer. Dip your hands, support the YSDM, support this media, because we are going to do a lot, but without money, there's less we can do. 30, 96, 80, 88, 48. 30, 96, 80, 88, 48. Moki Wale Nkosi, Adekongwe fun Awatangbawe. Moki Yatobi Lomodada, and I can always appreciate my wives and my children, because I should not be doing this now, because Kosibashe Fesoro, Tiko ni filter Losuke, when they should be having their deep sleep. But history will remember every single one of us, whether we are doing it on our own selfish interest, or we are doing it because we are very, very uncomfortable the way the lives of my people back home. I am 6,000 kilometers away. It might be Montreal to reduce camera strength me. Yet, we feel your pain. We cannot continue to give you donation every day. Many of you are skilled, but how do you use that skill to produce things that will be of benefit to you? The politician knows this, and for a very long time, they refuse to develop our Southwest with all the money they've used from the federal government. That's in 1999. So before we move swiftly, and I'm going to cut this out, I've just given you a background of the UK, but I want us to see how Ghana should join around. And today, their children are saying it is time for them to exit. The United Kingdom, like I said earlier, has evolved from a series of annexation, union, and separations of constituent countries over several hundred years. The Treaty of the Union between the United Kingdom of England, which included Wales, and the Kingdom of Scotland in 1707. That was so many years before the fraudulent amalgamation by Lugard, working on behalf of the British colony, resulted in the unification to become the Kingdom of Great Britain. Its union in 1801, as at that time there was nothing called Nigeria, even though the British were controlling Nigeria with guns, because we thought they were friends, but they were not friends. They were criminals, came onto our territory, killed many people, took us for slaves. Church of England was part of it. And today, many Yoruba people are saying, let's save Nigeria, because what? Its union in 1801 with the Kingdom of Ireland created the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. But nígbà tó di wàhálà, most of the island seceded from the UK in 1922, leaving the present United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, which formally adopted its name in 1927. So whatever we are doing today, Amo Yoruba, prepare your mind. You will be forced to go out of Nigeria. We will pull you out. I'm telling you, we will pull you out. It's just about a matter of time, because a lot of you are wasting our time trying to fix a country. I am not talking about a problem with our territory. I am talking about a system that was put together for a selfish interest. And those interests is not for me. Those interests is for the benefit of only people that think that they can control us using what they call fake position like APC and PDP, and then also using the gimmick of this fraudulent guy called himself Peter Obi. Let's move swiftly forward because of the time constraint. Once again, I can now show you where we're going to be reading from. And please take note that this was written by Babakitoye, sent to me, and we're going to be doing justice to it this morning. So let me open it from here, and then we move swiftly. Nigeria needs now the courage to dissolve peacefully. Part 1. At independence in 1960, Nigeria was truly the economic giant and hope of Africa. Nigeria was 25% of the population of the Black Africa. One of the regions of the Nigerian Federation, the Western region, had the most intensely educated population in Africa. Nigeria, therefore, had the largest and the most solid class of educated professionals in Africa. By the time of independence, Nigeria ranked as one of the world's largest exporters of cocoa from the Western region, palm produce from the Eastern region, granite from the Northern region. Of minerals, Nigeria was an exporter of tin, main on the Jos Plateau, coal, main on Udu Hill near Enugu, and every region of Nigeria had rich deposit of minerals. The Western region had the second largest deposit of bitumen in the world, and the Northern region had a deposit of uranium. Nigeria was known to have rich deposit of petroleum. By the 1970s, Nigeria became one of the leading producers and exporters of petroleum in the world, earning phenomenal revenues that made Nigeria one of the world's richest countries. Altogether, Nigeria seemed to be heading to success, wealthy, prosperity, and power. Unhappily, however, Nigeria lacked the inner unity and strength needed for such greatness. The hundreds of peoples of Nigeria pushed together in 1914 by the British were radically different in culture, political traditions, religion, attitude to religious diversity, and attitude to modern change until after the Second World War. The British did nothing to give Nigeria a unified existence. When at the last they granted a unifying constitution in 1949 to 1951 and created under it a federation of 3 regions, Eastern, Northern, and the Western regions. They boldly wrote conflict and instability into the life of the Federation by disrespecting obvious ethnic boundaries in the designation of the region's boundaries by making the Northern region much larger than the Eastern and the Western region. Together, by giving the Northern region a decisive majority in the federal parliament and by generally creating the impression that the Northern region was destined to lead the Federation. The region did well for their peoples, with the Western region as the development leader and pace setter. But rancor and hatred, unhealthy rivalry marked their relations. Then, to ensure Britain continued control of Nigeria's economy after independence, the British maneuvered in great detail, falsified the national census, installed stumbling blocks in the constitution, rigged the pre-independent election heavily, influenced the post-election inter-party negotiations to give dominance to Fulani leadership of the northern region over Nigeria federal government at independence. By doing these things, the British essentially placed a death sentence on Nigeria. The Fulani were one of Nigeria's smallest peoples, only about 6 million in the northern region, where a non-indigenous people had no homeland in Nigeria or anywhere, were part of the Fulani people scattered all over West Africa, consisted mostly of nomadic cattle herders, were the least educated people in Nigeria and the least delirious of modern education, and were at least capable of leading a modern country along modern lines, lacking an understanding of the nature of a modern country. The Fulani decided immediately at independence that they were meant to be the new colonial overlords of Nigeria. Nigeria's sad journey thus began through endless falsifications and manipulations of political process, falsifications of census, destruction of the federation through centralization of all power and resources control, destruction of regional and local initiatives in the economy, attempt to suppress Western education, prohibition of the teaching of history in Nigerian schools to rob the indigenous peoples the knowledge of their history, rancour and acrimony, bluntly rigged and violently protested elections, inter-people conflict, pogroms, civil war, religious violence, Fulani use of military force over an attempt to conquer all of Nigeria's indigenous people, serious economic decline, Fulani invitation to other West African Fulani to come and help conquer Nigeria's indigenous peoples, Fulani attraction of international terrorist groups to help the Fulani conquest, a destructive push to turn Nigeria to a Muslim country by violence, vicious insecurity, rivers of blood, economic collapse to the now inevitable breakup. The earliest Fulani adventure to expand their control over all of Nigerian future, serious plots started even before independent and covertly assisted. Oh, sorry, bear with me. I was reading a little bit too much. Okay, I didn't read it as I was meant to. I'm so sorry. All right, let's do it this way. Let's go back. I should have gone all the way down instead of moving. All right, I think I should have just done it the way I wanted to do it earlier. Because this one is a bit confusing like this. I don't know whether I was reading the way it's meant to be. All right, let's reverse this way. I know it's good to show it this way, but I guess we've missed a couple of lines there. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take it back. So all right, let me do it from each one of them single-handedly. So let me open just part 1 from here. Okay, this part 2. All right, now let's go back. Let's just do part 1 first. Let's do part 1 first. Nigeria collapse. So which one is this? It might be no. All right, this is the part 1, and I think what I should have done is just read it all the way through. All right, part 2 started from here. Okay. All right. All right, let's minimize. Let's go this way. Let's remove Babawolawa from there so that it doesn't have any hiccup there. Bear with me, sorry about that. Once again, a very good morning and welcome. While I'm doing that, let's just listen to this. I'll come back in a minute.
Nígbà tá a la fẹ́ jà fún àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ wa táwa ń kọ́kọ́ ń bú ọba tá à ń bú jòyè èmi náà ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ rí bó mo pera mi padà ẹ má jẹ́ ká bú àgbààgbà kankan mọ́ ẹ má bolóṣèlú kankan ẹ̀rù kálukú ń bẹ̀rù wọn ò lè sọ̀rọ̀ ọba ò lè sọ ìjòyè lè sọ ẹ jẹ́ ká ronú ẹ má jẹ́ ká bá àwọn bàbá jà mọ́ ẹ má jẹ́ bú wọn mọ́ ẹ má jẹ́ àṣẹ wọn àwọn ará pẹ̀lú wọn àwọn àgbà tó bá jó lóṣèlú tá a bá fẹ́ kọ́ wọn rẹ̀ wá lọ́wọ́ á pè wọn mọ́ra á gbé wọn mọ́ra ni à ní bú wọn mọ́ ẹ má jẹ́ àṣejẹ̀gbẹ́ ẹ má jẹ́ àdàlúrú a lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì ṣèjẹ̀gbọ̀n a lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì yìnbọn a lè gba ẹ̀tọ́ wa láì dàlúrú gbogbo protest mo ṣe ní ìlú Nàìjíríà mi ò rí ibi tí mo ti ẹnìkan lè sọ pé mo pààyàn tàbí mo jó nǹkan náà tàbí mo bà nǹkan jẹ́ mo lọ písù torí pé olówó lèmi náà tí ò bá sólówó lára ń dì mọ́ gbogbo nǹkan tó lọ́n fún yẹn lọ́lọ́run fún mi mi ṣe tálákà tó dé pé mo dìde fún jà Yorùbá big man ni mi àwọn tó jẹ́ ọ̀rẹ́ mi tó súnmọ́ mi tó ní owó ní kí ni mo wá lọ bẹ̀ pẹ́sọ́wọ́ lè mò ń fẹ́ ni kí n sọ yìí tí mo fẹ́ mo ní ìsọ̀rọ̀ owó àní ọ̀rọ̀ ìran mi ni mò ń sọ kí n wọ gbowó kí n gbéra kí n pé mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ ọba àgbowó mò ń lọ ọ̀dọ̀ oníbodè òfin gbowó kí n kójó wọlé kọ́kàn mi balẹ̀ kí n dá wa mọ́tò kí n mọ́ rìn bọ̀ kí Fúlàní mọ́ da mi dúró títì kí n délé kí bàbá sọ pé kí n gbé tírélà sùn kí n mọ gbé lọ àwọn bàbá wo lè lóko mọ́ wọn ò lè lóńdò ẹ jẹ́ ká fọwọ́sowọ́pọ̀ ká ti àwọn bàbá wa lẹ́yìn ká dá security ti wá lẹ̀ ká sọ fún wọn kí wọ́n bá wa fọwọ́ tì í ká lé wọn kó nu oko wa ẹ ṣé mo dúpẹ́ Jésù Olúwa wa.
Once again, a very good morning to my brother Akalamago TV. Sorry for the rest of you. It's because it's a media personnel and I have to recognize it on the platform. The rest of you, I could see you. I just say good morning. Because of my time constraint, I haven't got much time left and I've already done 1 hour already. Now let's read it again because I realized that there was a mix up from what I read earlier. So I'm going to take it back again. This particular write-up was sent to me from Babakitoye, and I believe it indicates exactly what Nigeria is. So I'm going to take it again one more time. Nigeria needs now, and I can close down some certain things there so that we don't have any clash. You can leave that one for now. Nigeria needs now the courage to dissolve peacefully. Part 1. At independence in 1960, Nigeria was truly the economic giant and the hope of Africa. Nigeria was 25% of population of Black Africa. One of the regions of Nigeria Federation, the Western region, had the most intensely educated population in Africa, and Nigeria therefore had the largest and the most solid class of educated professionals in Africa. By the time independence, Nigeria ranked as one of the world's largest exporters of cocoa from the Western region, palm products from the Eastern region, granite from the Northern region of minerals. Nigeria was an exporter of tin mined on the Jos Plateau and coal mined on Udi Hill near Enugu, and every region of Nigeria had a rich deposit of minerals. The Western region had the second largest deposit of bitumen in the world. The Northern region had the deposit of uranium. Nigeria was known to have a rich deposit of petroleum by the 1970s. Nigeria became one of the leading producers and exporters of petroleum in the world, earning phenomenal revenues that made Nigeria one of the world's richest countries. Altogether, Nigeria seemed to be heading to success, wealth, prosperity, and power. Unhappily, however, Nigeria lacked the inner unity and the strength needed for such greatness. The hundreds of peoples of Nigeria pushed together in 1914, but the British were radically different in culture, political traditions, religion, attitude to religious diversity, and attitude to modern change. Until after the Second World War, the British did nothing to give Nigeria a unified existence when at the last they granted a unifying constitution in 1949 to 1951 and created under it a federation of 3 regions, Eastern, Northern, and the Western regions. They boldly wrote conflict and instability into the life of the federation, disrespecting obvious ethnic boundaries in the designation of the region's boundaries by making the northern region much larger than the eastern and the western regions together, by giving the northern region a decisive majority in the federal parliament, by generally creating the impression that the northern region was destined to lead the federation. The region did well for their peoples, with the western region as the development leader and pace setter, but rancor and hatred and unhealthy rivalry marked their relations. Then, to ensure Britain's continued control of the Nigerian economy after independence, the British maneuvered a great detail, falsified the national census, installed stumbling blocks in the constitution, rigged the pre-independence election heavily, influenced the post-election inter-party negotiations to give dominance to the Fulani leadership of the northern region over Nigeria federal government at independence. By doing these things, the British essentially placed a death sentence on Nigeria. The Fulani were one of the Nigeria's smallest peoples, only about 6 million in northern region were in non-indigenous peoples, had no homeland in Nigeria or anywhere, were part of a Fulani people scattered all over West Africa, consisted mostly of nomadic cattle herders, were the least educated people in Nigeria and the least delirious of modern education, and were the least capable of leading a modern country along modern lines. Lacking an understanding of the nature of a modern country, the Fulani decided immediately at independence that they were meant to be the new colonial overlords of Nigeria. Nigeria's sad journey tours began through endless falsifications and manipulations of political process, falsifications of census, destructions of the federation through centralization of all power and resources control, destructions of regional and local initiatives in the economic attempt to suppress Western education, prohibition of the teaching of history in Nigerian school, to rob the indigenous peoples the knowledge of their history, rancor, acrimony, bluntly rigged, violently protested elections, inter-people conflict, pogroms, civil war, religious violence, Fulani use of military force for an attempt to conquer all of Nigeria's indigenous peoples, serious economic decline, Fulani invitation to other West African, Fulani to come and help conquer Nigeria indigenous peoples, Fulani attraction of international terrorist groups to help the Fulani conquest, a destructive push to turn Nigeria to a Muslim country by violent, vicious insecurity, rivers of blood, economic collapse, to the now inevitable breakup. The earliest Fulanis to expand their control over all of Nigeria future is serious plot started even before the independence and covertly assisted by the British to use federal power to crush the Western region, Nigeria's leader and pace setter in development, because the Western region was strong and wanted true independence for Nigeria. The plot finally hatched in 1962 to 1965, destroyed the Western regions and Nigeria's development progress, but then it dragged down Nigeria's security, provoked the first military coup in 1966. From then on, there followed a long succession of military coups and military dictatorship until 1999, with only a brief civilian interlude in 1979 to 1983. The military dictators recklessly destroyed the federal principle in favor of centralization. The military dictators from July 1966, on being all the northerners, pushed for further and further centralization and the northern Fulani dominance. This provoked resistance and bloody conflict, pogroms, and an attempt by the Igbo-led Eastern region to secede from Nigeria in 1967. The attempt started a 13-month civil war from 1967 to 1970, which took about 2 million lives among the Igbo people. As if to wipe off this self-imposed disaster, mineral oil began in the early 1970s to boost Nigeria's economic strength by making phenomenal amount of money available to Nigeria's development. Nigeria prospects were so rosy by the late 1970s that some patriotic Nigerians embarked on putting together a dazzling program of development for Nigeria. Some of the youthful intellectuals in this group even believed that they could make Nigeria the black man's world power of modern times. But Nigeria lacked the unity, the cohesiveness, and the orderly political and economic life necessary for such great accomplishment. A manipulated election in 1979 and another was bluntly rigged and violently protested in 1983, shut down those who were proudly talking of making Nigeria the black man's world power. Another military coup came in December 1983, led by another northern military officer. From then on, rather than grow in prosperity and power, Nigeria entered into the process of truculent Fulani grabbing of control of unrelented centralization of political power, resources control and development, management, and the most rabid culture of public corruption in the world. The northern Fulani control began to total that one of the military dictators felt free in 1993 to announce a completed peaceful presidential election without giving any reason for his action, and another felt to arrest and imprison the winner of the election and then to institute a murderous reign of terror to stop popular reaction, and yet another unilaterally imposed a constitution on Nigeria by decree 1999. The Nigerian culture of impunity and public corruption has grown so mightily since then that it has earned Nigeria year after year the assessment as the most corrupt country in the world. Since 2018, Nigeria has been classified as the #1 home of extreme poverty in the world. The succeeding military dictators from 1985 to 1999, serving the purpose of centralization and of Fulani control of powers and resources, rammed down their system irremediable. In spite of Nigerians' hundreds of nationalities, Nigeria lost federalist direction and became simply a country under complete control of a central government firmly controlled by the mostly illiterate Fulani nationality. Nigeria's central government became an instrument for managing not Nigeria development, but for managing Nigeria's titanic and complex culture of public corruption. In the end, Nigeria Fulani political elite, intoxicated by all this great success of theirs in the politics of Nigeria and by continued covert British support, embark upon a pre-modern primitive ambition to employ violence to conquer all other nations of Nigeria and turn their homeland into a large Fulani homeland. The outside world, lacking an understanding of this bizarre political turn in Nigeria, wrongly saw it as a development arising simply from climate change, from the coming of the prolonged drought in the West African Sahel and Sudan from the 90s, and the consequent veering of Fulani cattle herders southwards into the forest territories in search of grass for their cattle, and therefore intensifying conflict between farmer and cattle herders in Nigeria. But that is not the true explanation of what has been happening in Nigeria. The drought did not force cattle herders to veer south in all countries of West Africa, but what happened in Nigeria did not happen in any other country of West Africa. What happened in Nigeria is that, to repeat, the small Fulani political elite, enormously emboldened by their great success in the politics of Nigeria and by the continued British covert support, decided to turn the masses of the distressed Fulani cattle herders into a mass army for conquering the homeland of all the peoples of Nigeria for a Fulani homeland. As soon as the Fulani leader, Muhammadu Buhari, was elected president of Nigeria in 2015, the Fulani seriously commenced their planned conquest of Nigeria. For the next 8 years under President Muhammadu Buhari, Fulani cattle herders and militias indoctrinated with the message that Allah had given the whole of Nigeria to the Fulani for a Fulani homeland, and heavily armed with sophisticated modern weapons, mostly AK-47 rifles, spread out all over the south and the middle belt of Nigeria, destroying or burning farms, farm states, villages, uprooting, destroying root crops, burning the tree crops, killing farmers and farmers' wives and children, wiping out the inhabitants of a whole villages, raping and killing women, killing the children on their way to or from school, kidnapping countless people, extorting enormous amount of money as a ransom for the kidnap. President Buhari's administration never said a word against this Fulani outrage, and federal agents, police, military, and the Secret Service mostly ignored the widespread cries of agony and death. it inevitably became obvious to all harassed Nigerians that the government had ordered its employees not to interfere with the Fulani killers and destroyers, and that Buhari's presidency was covertly assisting the Fulani conquest. There is no official estimate of Nigerians killed by the Fulani in Buhari years because the government had no interest in such. But according to an unofficial estimate, as many as 29,000 Yoruba people were killed in the Yoruba land. Mostly Yoruba farmers have abandoned farming altogether, and traditionally, Yoruba agricultural economy has been destroyed. As President Bola Tinubu was being sworn in May 29, 2023, to succeed President Buhari, greatly confident armies of Fulani destroyers and killers were waiting for him. They were sitting on the enormous amount of Nigerian money that had been stolen in recent years for the Fulani war of conquest, and their own enormous arsenal of various weapons, and countless thousands of Fulani killers and international terrorists. They immediately heightened the tempo and viciously of their killing and kidnapping. In January 2024, they publicly declared war against President Tinubu himself and threatened to invade the president's office and seize the seat of power. Nigeria needs now the courage to dissolve peacefully. Part 2. In summary, as these words are being written in late February 2024, Nigeria's economy has collapsed. Nigeria's security has collapsed. Nigerians are living a life of wretched poverty and hunger, a life of frightful insecurity and chaos. Important roads are dilapidated for years. Electricity supply has been fizzling out for years. For decades, businesses have been failing or fleeing to other countries. Nigeria unemployment rate has for decades been among the highest in the world. For decades, the quality of education has been falling seriously in all parts of Nigeria. For decades, thousands of educated Nigerian youth have been fleeing annually to countries around the world, and those of them who remain in Nigeria have been facing fearful poverty and deprivation and hopelessness, and the incidence of suicide has been increasing among them. Though Nigeria is one of the largest producers of petroleum in the world, Nigeria has depended on imported gasoline and has left its own refineries in disrepair, and the price of gasoline has been rising steadily in Nigeria for years. In the past 9 months, the price of gasoline has jumped at 700 naira per litre, beyond the reach of most Nigerians auto owners. Important holders of knowledge of the economy, such as the former governor of the Nigerian Central Bank, Charles Soludo, the new Minister of Finance, Wale Edo, the new National Security Advisor, Nuru Ribadu, and others, are telling the world that the Nigerian economy had collapsed before President Tinubu took over from President Buhari, that Tinubu inherited a bankrupt country. Therefore, the value of the Nigerian currency, the naira, standing at 465 to the dollar by June 2023, now stand at 2,005 naira to the US dollar and is still falling, causing inflation to skyrocket to 35.41% and pushing the price of food staples beyond the reach of most citizens. For instance, a bag of rice now at 80,000 naira, up from 35,000 naira in June 2023. Terrible hunger grips the lives of most Nigerians. Families are keeping their children away from schools because they cannot feed the children before sending them to school, and because the fear that the children might be kidnapped or killed on the way to or from school. A former Nigerian senator, Senator Shehu Sani from the north, recently offered the information that 10,000 schools have closed down in the north because of the insecurity. An international group, International Civil Society Organization, says that in the first 8 months of Tinubu presidency, the Fulani have killed 2,423 people and kidnapped 1,872 people. On the floor of the Nigerian National Assembly, legislators are bursting into tears as they recount the economic suffering and the drastic insecurity of the people of their constituencies. Many legislators are denouncing the Nigerian presidential system and calling for its abolition. Many influential Nigerians are publicly advising ordinary Nigerians to buy guns for self-defense. In all, of Nigeria, huge numbers of hungry people are protesting in the streets, crying of hunger, condemning President Tinubu and calling for the dissolution of Nigeria. The students of Nigerian universities, Nigeria Powerful Labour Union, and others are announcing imminent strike and mass protest. The most eminent Fulani leaders are traditional rulers of the North, who never once raised a voice against Buhari's sponsorship of Fulani and terrorist atrocities all over Nigeria for 8 years, who never said a word against Buhari's abominable reign of corruption, are now issuing public statements redundant with criticism of Tinubu and warning the threat of imminent disaster and doom for the president, the government, and the country. Many are threatening that a military takeover of Nigerian government is imminent. Some Nigerian women are going stark naked on the street protest, and some pundits are warning that, according to the cultures of many Nigerian peoples, protest by naked adult women in the street can invite terrible consequences of Nigeria. Even small children in their elementary schools are adding their tiny but strident voices to the swelling storm of protest. Many respected elders in different parts of Nigeria are publicly and responsibly proposing that Nigeria should be dissolved now in the interest of all the peoples and citizens of Nigeria. Spokesperson for the Yoruba people, the Igbo people, and now surprisingly the Hausa people, the three largest nationalities in Nigeria, want self-determination. For their respective nations and peaceful separation from Nigeria, the Hausa used to be regarded as subservient to the Fulani, but now the Hausa people have woken up and they are therefore being killed and brutalized by the Fulani and are credibly defending their homeland and people. The Yoruba, the Igbo, and Hausa together accounted for about 160 million in population out of the Nigerian total population of nearly 220 million. Naturally, most people of the protest trail today see President Tinubu as the cause of all their economic woes, but they are mostly wrong. The collapse of the Nigerian economy today is the end outcome of 6 decades of perpetual, truculent, twisting, distortion, corruption, degradation of Nigerians' economy and political life. The pathetic, incompetent, and brutal corruption of the recent 8 years under President Buhari finally, completely, the killing of the Nigerian economy. President Tinubu believes he can heal the Nigerian economy, but in spite of his confidence, his chance of success in that venture are realistically and sadly close to zero. Healing is for the sick, not for the dead. Even if President Tinubu, by the dint of resoluteness and with the help of capable assistants whom he has called up and succeed in healing Nigeria's economy to an extent, the Nigerian economy will certainly return to its downward trajectory after him. The forces pushing Nigeria downwards cannot push in any other direction than downwards. There is no other country in the world about whom Nigeria's kind of story can be told. The story of a country that earned for many years some of the largest revenues in the world for petroleum or any other resources, and that continued to earn much of such revenue and has yet ended up as the #1 home of extreme poverty in the world. Trying to lift Nigeria up sustainably is a futile venture. After publicly admitting that some of the Nigerian economic problems defer solution, President Bola Tinubu took courageous action by inviting all the state governors to work with him, and he and they together began to consider some economic relief measures, the establishment of the state police, and even a restructuring agenda. But among most Nigerians, these actions are regarded as too little, too late, and even as the measures being hurriedly promoted by politicians to enable them to hold on to their position in Nigerian politics and their stakes in the Nigerian corruption system. Restructuring, through many prominent citizens have been saying much about it, cannot stop the Fulani from spreading out to kill, destroy, and kidnap in any part of Nigeria, since there will still be Nigerian citizens. State police is good step, but its establishment requires a prolonged process of constitutional amendment. Altogether, the stark truth today is that Nigeria has come to an end. Altogether, the stark truth about Nigeria today is that Nigeria has come to an end. The man who bears this ultimate responsibility for the step next for Nigeria beyond this point is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He can chooses to go maneuvering and trying on and on until Nigeria explodes in rivers of blood. That is what the most powerful leader of Yugoslavia, Slobodan Milosevic, did in 1989 to 1990. When Yugoslavia as one country had obviously come to an end, Milosevic chose to continue to keep Yugoslavia together at all costs and by all means, and he did so until massive rivers of blood flowed and countless thousands of people perished, until the truth finally accepted itself that Yugoslavia needed to dissolve, until Yugoslavia dissolved into 8 different countries, until Milosevic himself ended up before an international criminal tribunal charged with serious crimes against humanity, and until he died a lonely and wretched death in the tribunal prison custody. But in contrast, President Tinubu can do as Mikhail Gorbachev, president of the Soviet Union in 1985 to 1991, did in the 1990 when the great Soviet Union had obviously come to an end. Gorbachev humbly surrendered to the truth that the end had come for the Soviet Union, and he was therefore able to shepherd his country into a peaceful dissolution, thereby preempting a massive, devastating war that would probably have consumed millions of lives. While considering this option, President Bola Tinubu needs to be aware of the following important fact: that separation of a people from a country of diverse peoples, or the dissolution of a country of diverse peoples into a smaller countries, if accomplished peacefully, is not a tragedy at all. You need to browse the history of some of the countries that separated peacefully, and you will find stories of subsequent prosperity in all cases. Belgium, which separated from Holland in 1830, Norway, Denmark, Sweden, Iceland, which separated at different times for a long time, Republic of Ireland, which separated from Britain in 1921, Singapore, which separated from Malaysia in 1965, the 14 countries which arose from the dissolution of the Soviet Union in 1991, Czech and Slovakia Republic, which separated in 1993, East Timor, which separated from Indonesia in 2002. President Tinubu also needs to note that countries which separated violently tend to be dodgy by violence afterward, as in the case of Pakistan, which separated in the storm of violence from India in 1947, South Sudan, which separated after the years of violence from South Sudan in 2011, some of the 8 countries that resulted from the violent dissolution of Yugoslavia. What can a peaceful negotiated departure of any nature that seeks to separate from Nigeria, or a peaceful negotiated dissolution of Nigeria, give to humanity? Question mark. Nigerian people are now trapped in a Nigerian space that is churning in an abominable cost of utter darkness, unspeakable poverty, hunger, hatred, hostility, mass murders and fear and death. The hatred and the hostility are so deep that even now, some people in the northern Nigeria, in the midst of the killings and kidnapping all over Nigeria, and in the midst of the mass cries of hunger, are blocking the north entry onto the Jebba Bridge on the River Niger and turning back food trucks in order to stop even the small amount of food that is coming to southern Nigeria, especially to southwest Nigeria, avowedly in order to starve out whole people in southern Nigeria. A peaceful negotiated parting of ways from these homes of horrors can reduce or even eliminate fear, hatred, and hostility, and can ultimately result in mutual respect, peaceful borders, friendly and mutual helpful neighbors generally progress, prosperity, and happiness for all. In the end, choice belongs to President Tinubu. His stand to earn historic honor and fame like Gorbachev, or historic condemnation and fame like Milosevic. His official assistants are doing nothing wrong by advising him to hold on and keep trying. It is understandable that they see that as their loyal duty to him, but it is he that must take his decision. He must know that whatever way he decides, he cannot now stop the truth from having his way in the Nigerian situation. Nigeria has reached the point of breaking up, whether in peace or in rivers of blood. Nigeria will break up. President Tinubu cannot prevent that. It is only how Nigeria break up that he can influence. We who are President Tinubu brothers and sisters, we who love President Tinubu must wish him in this mighty tough situation and best of guidance, best outcome in his own interest, in the interest of all the peoples and human now reeling in abominable deprivation, starvation, hopelessness, hatred, hostility, and insecurity and chaos in Nigeria. The first and the most urgent step that most Nigerians will wish for the President Tinubu now is that he should carry out immediately his plan to allow and empower every state to establish his own forest guard outfit, federal authorized and property trained and armed. This will enable farming to begin to revive everywhere and to begin to alleviate hunger. It will also reduce fear and hatred. But these steps only surface of the deep and complex problems of Nigeria. It cannot eliminate the huge in some peoples to attack, kill, kidnap, brutalize, subjugate other peoples, or to seek to seize other people's homeland, or to take actions aimed at starving out other peoples. It cannot drive away the foreign terrorists that have been attracted to Nigeria in recent years and that have established firm roots in part of northern Nigeria. It cannot eliminate the homegrown terrorist groups. It cannot eliminate the fact that all these organized terrorist groups have support from some foreign countries. It cannot wish away the fact that all of these terrorist groups are poised to use maximum force to turn all of Nigeria into an Islamic country and to use Nigeria as the base for conquering West Africa as an Islamic state. It does not address the very potent fears of the peoples of the Nigerian Middle Belt, the South, about the intensifying dangers of religious extremism and jihadism that have established roots and growing in the Sahel and in the Nigerian North. These huge and complex challenges that can only be addressed by allowing each nation to go on and find its own security and prosperity in a new country of its own. It is a situation demanding peaceful negotiation. Yoruba people seeking this kind of negotiation between Nigeria and the Yoruba nation sent to President Buhari in 2022. A petition asking from such a negotiation. They are waiting for the Nigerian federal government to initiate the negotiation process, but we repeat the decision in this final step belongs to President Tinubu, and we wish him the best of guidance in his own interest, in the interest of all Nigerian peoples, in the interest of all men and women and children who are now belong to Nigeria, in the interest of humanity. It is time to disengage from Nigeria. The Nigerian experiment has not worked, is not working, and cannot work. Let us wind it up peacefully. Let our president shepherd us through the process of winding it up peacefully. We have seen enough of blood, enough of human villainous in Nigeria. Let us not keep saying more and more. In particular, let us not wait until we are all engulfed in the all-consumed Armageddon that now seems to be rolling towards us in the clouds ahead of us. I will end here with this little story. In one Yoruba self-determination youth meeting recently, a boy stood up and said, "Of course, we can defend our land. Of course, we shall defend our land and soon chase the Fulani away. But our most important need is a separate out nation from the destructive country called Nigeria. If President Bola Tinubu helps to get us peacefully out of Nigeria, we will erect a statue of him in our city of Lagos or Ibadan as a statement of a gratitude to him forever. And if our other politicians, our obas, and any of our other eminent citizens will also help in this, we shall show gratitude to them too in countless ways. What more can anybody say? This was presented to me through our leader, Professor Adebanji Akintoye, the leader of the Yoruba self-determination struggle, that says, and I quote, Nigeria needs now the courage to dissolve peacefully. And that is how far I can go this morning. My name is OLAYOMI Koiki. I'll be doing a little bit more analysis of this in the course of more of our program. And one thing I can say is, Nigeria can be dissolved. It will dissolve. No one can stop it. America does not have the zeal and the power to stop it. United Kingdom that created the country called Nigeria does not have the power and the zeal to stop it after covertly supporting the Fulani against all other indigenous people. We will come out of Nigeria, but it's the responsibility of each and every Yoruba sons and daughters around the world to wake up at this very important period where we are calling you on a clearing call to bring to the end of this monster that was created for a practical reason. That practical reason is not working. That expiration happened in 2014. Rather than us talking about it today, many of those that should be talking about it are taking advantage of what and the current situation. And like I said, I'm adding mine to this, not the words of Baba Akintoye. We will fight to the last blood. We will defend that territory. We will bring down Nigeria if it does not come down peacefully. The politicians have the opportunity to listen to our leader as he continues to wind down Nigeria from his own diplomacy. But let me say this, you will not have the strength when they start to stop those that are ready to pull the others out of Nigeria. Not all the Yorubas are ready, we know that. We will pull them out because already they are weak, they are tired, they don't have the strength. All that was the reason for over 23 years making poverty in Yoruba land so that our people will not have the strength. But those of us, the diaspora, this is the time to wake up. This is the time to support this movement financially, physically, back it up with whatever your knowledge are. This is not the time to sit back behind the fence and asking who is leading it. This is a clarion call. The people back home needs our help. The politicians have starved them to death, and we must help them now before it is too late. There's no amount of money that you will be sending to your loved ones that will be able to resolve each of their daily problems. There's no amount of people that will travel to UK for greener pasture, America, Europe, that will resolve the problem. This problem needs to come to an end through a peaceful dissolution. And if President Bola Tinubu refuses to do so, it is entirely up to us to say that we will not sit back and allow another government to come over and direct us, because that would be a big disaster. As I end this program this morning, please remember that we all have a role to play. I am just playing mine, and I'll continue to do so in my own little capacity. But as Oloye Igboho have said as well, this can be done without a war, but that is subject to if we are all ready to allow it to go without a war. We are saying again to our representatives from the federal to the state, from the state assembly to the federal assembly, to come on the round table and start discussing the total dissolution of Nigeria. If you do not do so, one day that slave that you've tied on the chain will come back and use the same chain to capture you. We don't need to have that route, but I can tell you that route is getting closer on every day that Yoruba people are waking up. And on that note, I say a very good morning. And once again, remember that Laura Shaw and Lugard created Nigeria. God never created Nigeria. Good morning to everyone. Have a blessed day. My name is Koiki. Bye for now.